Mariners lose 3-1. They fall to 19-16 on the season, and they lose the first of a 4-game set with the Minnesota Twins. Let's go over those many, many scoring plays. Actually, you know what? 4 is a lot more than I was thinking when I made that joke. Fifth inning, Carlos Correa doubles to center to score Max Kepler. Mariners tie the game in the 7th on a sacrifice fly that scores Jorge Polanco, but in the bottom of the 7th, Christian Vasquez hits a sacrifice fly to score Carlos Correa, and Manny Margot singles home Willie Castro. 3-1. Mariners are not able to get on the board after that 7th inning, and a lot before it. Before we get into the positives and negatives, I'm going to do my ad read. Simply Seattle, you are the very best. You provide the very best in Seattle sports gear. Awesome stuff for the Mariners, the Seahawks, Kraken, Huskies, Sounders, Storm. You can find it all and a whole heck of a lot more at simplyseattle.com. Use code MOLLYWANT15 to save 15% off your order. I'd really appreciate it if you do so, because not only are you saving yourself money, you're showing that you're paying attention to the show. So I really appreciate everyone who's using that code to get great stuff. And I, of course, appreciate Simply Seattle for providing that code and also for supporting the show. www.simplyseattle.com, link in the description. Okay, let's get into the positives. I think there's only one positive. Luis Castillo was awesome. His 7th inning goes a little bit hickety-bickety, but he pitched a lot better than those numbers indicate, in my humble estimation. 6 2/3 innings of 2 earned runs, 1 unearned. We'll talk about it. Does walk 3. His command, I think, in the 7th faltered a little bit. 7 strikeouts, pitched more than well enough to get the win. More than well enough. You know, Trent Thornton does give up the hit that gives up the unearned run. It wasn't a bad pitch. Dude did a nice job just lining that up the middle. Not lining, but making hard enough contact, and the Mariners don't have shortstops with good enough range to make plays like that, or to at least knock it down. I'm sorry, they don't. They won't when J.P. Crawford comes back, and Dylan Moore doesn't have elite range either. Why are we talking about negatives? We're supposed to be talking about positives. Oh, right, because they're over. Anyway, Trent Thornton pitched fine. There's this offense stunk. I want to give some credit to Simeon Woods Richardson. He had the best stuff I've seen from him, at least in person. He was just coming off a start where he struggled against the White Sox, so that's concerning. Although the White Sox are playing a little bit better lately, but still. I want to give some credit to their pitching staff. Simeon Woods Richardson, Griffin Jacks, Juan Duran, and Caleb Thielbar. You look at Caleb Thielbar's ERA. Anybody who's paid attention knows that Caleb Thielbar is a lot better pitcher than that ERA indicates. And Duran is one of the best relievers in baseball. He could be the best reliever someday. It'll be fascinating watching him and Munoz because they're kind of similar. It's a little bit of a lazy comp, but they're kind of similar. But it wouldn't have mattered who pitched today. The offense was so stinky. So stinky. The only offensive positives I take from this game are Mitch Garver getting the ball in the air was great, you know, in a clutch situation to drive in that run. Was there something else that was positive? Oh, Big Dumper draws a couple walks. That's nice. Only 2 of the game. I'm going to hit pause for just 1 second because I want to give you a quote. I tweeted this out, but I want to give you a quote. Okay, this quote is from November 7th of last year. And the tweet is from Ryan Divish. And this is Jerry DiPoto on why they didn't offer a qualifying offer to Teoscar Hernandez. DiPoto said one of the reasons they didn't offer a qualifying offer to Teoscar Hernandez is trying to find a way to cut down strikeouts in their lineup. They are looking for hitters, preferably right-handed hitters, that can provide offensive impact with less swing and miss. Fail. If that was your goal, fail. 14 more strikeouts today. Josh Rojas, who has been awesome all year, stunk. Julio Rodriguez, who has been less than awesome, good and bad, a lot of bad, stunk offensively. Jorge Polanco got a little bleeder, stunk offensively. Mitch Haniger had one hit, looked lost in his 2 strikeouts. Ty France. I know everyone loves him, and I don't hate him. I don't hate anyone. Well, I, you've got to really look at making a change here, man. I know the Savant page is really impressive with all the red at the top about average X velocity and stuff like that. Hitting 98 mile per hour line drive singles is great. It's great. It only does so much for you when you are one of the slowest players in baseball, and it comes with such little power. And he's not a good defensive player. I was getting mad online thinking about them giving a double on that play. For those who missed it, Ty France of ground ball just goes flat out under his glove. It took a little bit of a weird hop, but you're in front of it. You got to at least knock that down. And then just make the little flip to first. But he didn't. And some people on Twitter pointed out that he looked like he quit on the ball. I didn't see enough of that, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for now. But I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt about him being a player that doesn't help the Mariners enough. 248, 306, 345 from your first baseman over close to a quarter of the season is pretty flippin' bad. When he doesn't add any value on the bases, he doesn't add power, and he's not a good defensive player. He picks the ball well, which is good, because a lot of these Mariner infielders right now don't have strong throwing arms, so you need him to be able to scoop those out. Okay. But the overall range, so below average, and just okay hands. Luke Raley stunk. Dylan Moore stunk. This offense stunk tonight. Did the Twins help? Yes, because the Twins have some darn good pitching. The difference between the Mariners and the Twins, talent-wise, not much. I would take the Mariner roster slightly above because I believe their starting pitching has a little more upside, but it's really close. That would be a fascinating playoff series, and it wouldn't shock me if we got it. Wouldn't shock me one bit if we got it. But in order to make the playoffs, you're going to have to start having more consistent offensive success than they have. And today was awful. It was an awful game. Really 1 through 9. It's great that Big Dumper draws a couple of walks. I don't want to lump him in too much with those guys. But it's just 1 through 8.5, not good enough. They got worked. Duran worked Julio. And he's going to work a lot of guys. But he got worked. Josh Rojas was due for a game like today. It was a bad game. Bad game. It's going to happen. Even with that bad game, he's still got a OPS of like 979 or something like that. I think that's exactly what it is, by the way. This was frustrating. This was really frustrating. Wasting a really strong performance from Luis Castillo, which is something they have done a few times over the last couple of years. Man. Thank goodness they won on Sunday. Because what are we talking about if not? Well, we're just, the difference is they're 18 and 17, but the narrative, I think the narrative changes big time if you don't win that game. But they did, so there's a positive. This was a frustrating game. Frustrating game. And there's, even while they're still in first place and they've been playing pretty dang well since that 6-10 start, there's enough of these to just kind of make you. My hat and my jersey match really well. I didn't realize that. Go Kraken. Fix it. This team needs to make a move for a hitter or two. Luke Raley isn't good enough. Dylan Moore is better served as a utility guy. And yeah, they'll get Crawford back. I don't know when they'll get Crawford back, but they'll get Crawford back. Ty France. I sometimes I fear that I'm sounding like a hater or whatever the kids call it now. The ops. I just am uncomfortable with him being my starting first baseman. Prove me wrong, Ty. Nothing would make me happier. This is a large sample of well below average offense. Anyway, what's the pitching matchup tomorrow? I think it's Hancock. Is it Hancock? No, it can't be Hancock. Yep. For those of you who just heard a noise there, that was my brother-in-law who was quite embarrassed that he came in to ask me what it wanted on my cheeseburger while recording this video. I love you, Anthony. It is Hancock. Hancock against Bailey Ober. Advantage Twins. As good as Hancock has been lately, I would give the advantage to the Twins. And unfortunately, that puts a lot of pressure on Kirby and Gilbert because looking at a series loss if you can't get two of these next three. Wouldn't be the worst series loss, but it's disappointing. It can still be disappointing. There's 3 games to go. Why are we talking about series losses? I feel like this video went down the tube a little bit. Please hit like and subscribe. I really appreciate the support. Click join if you are interested. $4.99 a month for a bunch of extra content. So far, people seem to be digging it. I really appreciate it. Yeah, that sucked. That was a bad game. And, as well as they're playing, you can still be frustrated by the bad ones. Talk soon.